Hello, my name's Dawn Law and I live here in the middle of England. A short while ago, Charlotte asked me if I would help with the virtual Sasha festival by making a little video of my Sasha-sized dolls prams. I was surprised later on to see that she had allocated a whole hour for this. It was very difficult to find enough to say for an hour about these little prams, so I thought that maybe you might like to see some of my dolls first. A few years ago, I decided I had too many Sasha dolls. I kept them in a little doll room above my husband's workshop, but the narrow steps up there made it difficult as I got older to get up and down very often. So I decided I would only keep the ones I liked and I would put them all in this glass cabinet. As soon as I put the babies in, I realised there wasn't any room in the cabinet for the larger dolls, so they had to go somewhere else. The larger dolls then filled the desk and the shelf above the desk. That didn't include the studio dolls and the course dolls. My studio dolls live in these two wooden green trunks. I purchased the trunks in America and they really are lovely. This little girl I bought from Swiss eBay a long time ago. She was advertised as a Sasha doll and I was the only bidder and bought her for 34 Swiss francs. When she arrived, I thought, I'd never seen a Sasha doll like this before, but I was very new to it and I'd never even heard of a course doll. Many years later, Anne Votor told me she is in fact not a course doll, but an A1 early studio doll. She has a brown check dress and white apron. She also has knitted socks and brown shoes. She even has her original brown hair ribbon and a pretty curly ponytail. She shares her trunk with this little boy, a studio toddler. The only one I've ever seen like him. I do hope there's some more out there. He wears a little white shirt, blue cord overalls, knitted socks and red shoes. He also has a red felt duffel coat that matches his shoes. This girl used to belong to Marie Morgan. I first saw her at the Phoenix Festival in the early 2000s and fell in love with her, and Marie kindly let me adopt her. She's in mint condition and has never been played with. She was given by Sasha Morgenthaler as a gift to the mother of one of the ladies who made dresses for her Sasha dolls. Under her coat, she wears a pink gingham dress, matching pants and a white petticoat, and she has white knitted socks and brown shoes. A really lovely girl. She shares her trunk with this baby. She really is a sweetie in a pink gingham dress, matching pants and really strange shoes. I thought at first that they weren't original, but Susanna tells me that she's seen them before, similar ones, and they are in fact original to her. These are my course dolls. I don't have room in here, sadly, to display them, so unfortunately they have to live in a box in the cupboard. A few years ago, I had an email from a lady in Switzerland asking me if I would like to adopt 9 course dolls. Apparently they would all be made by the same lady who'd been to Sasha Morgenthaler's studio for years making these dolls. She also made all the clothes. I did buy them all. 3 of them moved on to new homes, but I still have 6 of them. I love course dolls. I forget when they're in the boxes how pretty they are, and I do enjoy them coming out sometimes. Even the little waif at the end, who was so dirty when she arrived, but after spraying her face with K2R, she actually now looks quite presentable. This is the top shelf of my cabinet, mostly devoted to babies. Along the back of this top shelf you'll see a Laura Disney, a couple of boys in fancy dress, and also a ski boy, unisex, in the corner. I love him. The other babies are really just random, except that these 2 sitting here, they don't belong to me. They belong to my daughters, but they live here still, thank goodness. In the middle you can see the only doll that I have from my childhood. I think it's a Rosebud or a Pedigree. The strange thing was that when I allowed my 2.5-year-old granddaughter recently to choose one she'd like to play with out of this cabinet, guess what she chose? That awful little plastic thing. But Grandma, her eyes open and shut. Further along here I've got a couple whose legs I've straightened. The little curly boy, his legs aren't as good as this little black girl. She stands beautifully with her straightened legs. But his legs seem to me they're reverting to bent. Perhaps they do after a while. On the middle shelf I keep my boys. You can see one in a pushchair, one in a car seat, one that even can't sit up yet, a couple at the back there, and then this little chap here in his baby walker. And the bottom shelf is devoted to my baby girls, mostly all dressed in pink. I think girls look nice in pink. You can see there's a couple in car seats, one in a pushchair. In fact, I think my favourite is this little one in the pushchair. I think her name is Christina. I've just realised that this little girl is still in her box. She belonged to Sarah Doghart, and I bought her from her daughter Anna. I didn't need another black baby, but I was intrigued by her dress. I'd never seen this dress on a black baby or on any baby. And when she arrived, I contacted Brenda Walton, who told me that actually she made that dress for Sarah. And she also made one that fitted her own daughter. And she thinks she's still got some of the fabric left. She'll have to come out of her box and get squeezed into the cabinet with the other babies. Contrary to what you might have read or heard before about them, the Pomfer, the Doucet and the Red Prams were in fact all made by the same company, Edmund Doucet. He had a small family factory in a little town near the Belgian border in northeast France. The little town was called Pomfer-Verger de la Marne, but known to the residents as Pomfer. The first prams were made by René Doucet, who was the son of Edmund, and he made them for his 2 daughters, Bernadette and Elizabeth. They proved popular, and so he started making them commercially. The Doucet factory had always made metal items, And when I searched the records, all in French, of the factories in that area in the early 1950s, it said that the Doucet factory employed 85 people and they were making toys. I wonder if they made other metal tin plate toys. It would be interesting to find out. In 1930, they had filed a universal patent for a metal radiator. I don't know what was new about it, but apparently it was made out of tin plate. René Doucet was successful in selling his prams in France. He even sold them through the high-end toy shop Au Nain Bleu in Paris. They had their own name placed on the bottom. And on Etsy a while ago, I did see one of these little prams, and it was advertised not as a Doucet or a Pomfret or a Red, but as an Au Nain Bleu pram, and sure enough, there was the label underneath. He also sold them in Germany, but I don't know which stores they were sold through. But this little pram was awarded a place in the Nuremberg Toy Museum, where it was marked as one of the best toys in France. In the early 1960s, these little prams started to appear in the USA. They were in the catalogue issued by FAO Schwarz, where they were sold complete with bedding and a little plastic doll. They were also sold in the luxury store B. Altman, an impressive shop on the corner of 5th Avenue and 34th Street. This store had its own name printed on the box, a cardboard box that the prams came in. I can understand why the prams were called Pomfret or Doucet, but where did the name Red come from? My idea is that it came from the initials ED, Edmond Doucet, to which René added his initial, R-E-D. Or maybe the R stood for Reims, or Rance as they call it in France. Catherine found this picture of one of the prams with its original box, where it says Reims. This town, it was only about a 10-minute or 15-minute drive from Ponteverger. Catherine also found this page from the catalogue showing the little prams that were imported into America. And down below, all the details about it, and saying what a wonderful, truly toy it was of fine quality. And look at the price, $10.95, and that's dollars, not pounds. The first one of these little prams I ever saw was at Shelley Baxter's house when she had a party. I saw it and asked her about it, and I can't remember now what she told me. Either it was sold or it wasn't for sale, but I was then on the hunt for them. I'm not sure if this is the second pram I bought, but I saw it on Swiss eBay. There were only 2 bidders, and look what price I got it for. 65 Swiss francs, approximately £30 in English money. It was in mint condition. I did have more prams than I have now, but decided that I could only keep enough to go on the shelf as they took up so much room, and so I've sold several in the last 2 or 3 years. I also like to dress the doll that's with the pram in similar colouring to the pram. And this little girl's wearing a very pretty dress made by Karen Warnaker. Some of the prams have bedding, but some don't. A very nice lady in Czechoslovakia made a lot for me, but I don't know whether they've all got bedding now. This little girl with her blue pram is wearing a jumper and socks, which were a lovely gift from Jane Woodbridge, who made them to go with the little blue kilt that she's wearing. This rather solemn little girl is wearing a grey tracksuit made by Dolly Doodles to match the grey hood of her pram. And this is her baby. This little redhead likes bright colours, so she gets the orange pram. She's wearing a skirt and top made by Chris Meatyard, with a cardi and socks made by Nana Wills, and then shoes made by Rosie Bloomfield. This Sasha's dressed in yellow to match the yellow on her pram. Her dress was made by Kath Barnett, and she has lemon sandals to match, made by Lisa Hartley. This girl has got a dress made by the wonderful Marilyn Hotchkiss, and it matches the dark blue on her pram. Her little boy in the pram also has matching navy and white bedding. This gentle little girl has a white pram, so she has to wear mainly white. And this little girl is dressed in grey to match her hood of her pram. This little girl has a navy dress to match her pram. I found her with her hair cut at the front and up at the back at a fair in Birmingham, and she cost me £10. Alison soon put her right and bobbed her hair. I bought her because she's one of the dark-haired ones that were mistakes made with blue eyes. This Sasha has a yellow pram, so she's dressed in yellow. But this is a very different pram. It's not like the others, having different springing and also different size wheels. Maybe they were using up some wheels they had left over. If you buy a pram with no label, it's quite easy to see which sort it is. The first one in this picture is the Pomfer. This was the first pram they made, and you can see the ends of the body are quite straight. It's a little different than the Doucet. This one has a body not so deep and slightly longer, and it's slightly higher. The red pram is more like the Pomfer. It has similar size wheels and a similar size body, but the ends of the body, if you can see, are rounded and not straight. Sometimes you can buy a damaged pram, and if you're clever, you can restore it. This beautiful pram was restored by Catherine French. It's in a beautiful royal purple, and it's one of the larger red prams. Also this beautiful pram, restored by Anna Page, Doll Mum. She has a wonderful website, and if you're thinking of restoring a pram, do look at it. It's most helpful. I also renovated one of my prams. It wasn't as smart as Catherine French's, but I was really pleased with it. Catherine even found me the little green bag that hangs on the front. And my husband made a rack to go underneath from a cake rack. The little girl that goes with this pram has to wear green, of course, and she has a Kath Barnett dress and a pretty green cardi, but I don't know who made it. I also collect small pushchairs that are suitable for Sasha dolls to push. I love the pushchairs too. and even a couple that are big enough for a Sasha doll to sit in. I also love the larger dolls' prams too, but that's another story.